It's one of those things you see all the time on forums or like trucking forums, obviously, and especially Facebook groups. You ain't a trucker if whatever, and then whatever follows that is just stupid nonsense. You ain't a real trucker if you drive an automatic. Now, I drive a stick shift, but I have driven an automatic. I've driven an automatic, what was it? It was about a year and a half with one of the companies I worked for. All they had was automatics. Our company's going to automatics. Yeah. People say that all the time. It's like, oh, it's an automatic. You ain't a real truck driver if you have an automatic. If you don't know how to drive a stick shift, you're not a real truck driver. You know, some states, I don't know if it's federal or if it's by state. Some states, if you take your test in an automatic, you have an automatic only restriction on your license. So you can only drive an automatic, and you can't drive a stick shift because it would be the same as driving something that you're not endorsed for. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. Yeah, people say you're not a real truck driver if you drive an automatic. I used to also follow into that. Like, yeah, when I first started, I was 21 years old. Yeah, I want a stick shift. I don't want no automatic. Automatics are for sissies. That's, whatever. But anyway, people say that stuff. And it's just, it's like a narcissistic, I'm better than you because I know how to do something that you're not doing. Even you could know, like, I know how to drive a stick shift, but if I was driving an automatic, people would be like, oh yeah, you're not a real truck driver. You drive an automatic. Okay. Cool. If you can get from point A to point B without wrecking into stuff or laying the truck over, in my opinion, you're a real truck driver. You drive a truck, you're not just a steering wheel holder. That's another term, whatever. If you can get from point A to point B safely, you can back in a truck, whatever, you get the load there, get unloaded. If you can operate the vehicle safely, you're a real truck driver. Who cares if you're shifting gears or if the truck is? It doesn't matter. It doesn't. And most of the time, people are just messing with you, saying, oh yeah, you ain't a real truck driver. Sometimes it's people messing with you, but there are a few people that just, if you don't drive a stick, you're not a real trucker. But yeah, it's just one of those things that they say that to make you feel that you're not adequate enough to be a trucker. They say that crap to put you down or to make themselves feel superior to you because you don't drive stick shift. You don't know how to shift gears. Or even if you do and you're just driving a stick, you're driving an automatic, they don't care. There's always going to be that person. Always. You ain't a real trucker if you drive a day cab. That ain't real trucking. I was over the road for 2 years. Yeah, I know. Oh man, that ain't nothing. I know it's not. It ain't much. I don't care. I was over the road for 2 years. Got my first local job hauling fuel. Been local ever since. Yeah, I drive a day cab. I'm home every night. I used to not be. I used to stay in hotels, which they'd be like, oh, you were staying in hotels. Okay. I was away from my home for a week. I know that's nothing special, but so what? I drove a day cab. I drive a day cab. You know, home every night. I used to be one of those over-the-road drivers that would make fun of local drivers and say, I used to say, I don't want nothing to do with local. Over the road for the rest of my life. That's me. That's who I am. Things change. Things change. What prompted me to go local was dating someone and wanting to be home more often. You know, I had the experience and the age requirement to get into hauling fuel, so I did it. And as you can see, 7 years later, I'm still doing the same thing. Still hauling fuel. Still home every night. And there's times I miss being over the road. I like seeing the country. You know, you see it from a windshield, but to me, that's good enough. I might not be a real trucker for driving a day cab. You know, yeah, I don't sleep in the truck, but so what? I sleep in my bed. I make decent money. I made more money over the road, definitely. But the trade-off is I'm home every night. I have a somewhat set schedule, a predictable schedule. When I was over the road, it's kind of like comparing over the road to local now. I slept better over the road than I do as a local driver. I feel like I had more time off and more time to myself. Like, as far as the 10-hour break, you know, there's many times where I would take a 12-hour break, but just because I wasn't in a hurry to get anywhere. And it was a lot easier just to go off duty, climb in the sleeper if I wanted to go to sleep right then, or go off duty, go get a shower, all that stuff, spend about an hour and a half doing that, come back, get a solid 7 hours of sleep, 7-8 hours of sleep. I felt like I did have more time when I was over the road. It was slower paced. Because local, a lot of stuff, it's a lot faster paced as far as, okay, you know, with doing what I do, I'll do anywhere between 4 to 6 loads a day. On Saturday I did 6 right now. Yeah. As far as it goes with people saying you're not a real truck driver if you drive a day cab, again, there's always going to be that person that all they know is living in the truck. I used to be that person. That's all I knew. That's all I thought all I wanted. Things change. You ain't a real truck driver if you went to truck driving school. I hear that one. I see that all the time. Of people, they went to a school and there's always that one commenter or just somebody that has to say, oh, you know, when I was growing up, we didn't have truck driving schools. I just got in the truck and had to learn right then and there. Cool. Good for you. I didn't have the opportunity I didn't have the opportunity to drive a truck before I went to truck driving school. I didn't grow up around trucks. I'm first generation truck driver in my family, as far as I know. You know, I didn't grow up on a farm. I didn't grow up anywhere where a truck was like easily accessible or where I could learn on one. So I had to go to truck driving school. And you know what? That's like 95% of people that go to truck driving schools. And then you get the guys that they've been out here for so long, you know, where they had a chauffeur's license back when it was a chauffeur's license instead of a CDL. And people love to brag about that. Like, oh, I had a chauffeur's license. That just got turned into a CDL when that came out. I didn't have to go to no school. Okay. Good for you. Congratulations. Not everyone is like you. Oh my God. Not everyone had or has the opportunities that you may have had. You know, if I grew up on a farm and we had grain trucks or something like that, yeah, you could learn to drive the truck, and then just take that truck and go take your test and get your CDL. I went to a truck driving school just like millions of other truck drivers. It doesn't make you less of anything just because you learned it in a school versus in the real world, or just being thrown in a truck and, hey, yeah, go drive this. Here's how you drive it. All right, go drive it. It's another one of those things where it's like, I'm superior to you. You see where, like, a lot of these things, I mean, as far as, I've only listed 3 so far, but the reason behind it is almost always the same, as far as someone, they want to feel superior to you because they did something different. Like I said, I'm first generation truck driver in my family, so, you know, I didn't have anybody that could teach me anything or whatever. When I was a kid, the closest I had was, I wanted to be a truck driver, so my dad would hook up a little trailer to his John Deere mower and let me drive it around the yard, and he would teach me how to back up. That was the closest I had to learning about, or, you know, at least I learned how a trailer acts as you're backing up, you know, a little bit. We didn't really have too many like trailers with the like with a pickup truck or something. My dad did, but I never drove them that much. Anyway, I figured I'd get on here. One last thing. I mean, I only had 3 so far, but it's the 3 repetitive things I see repetitively in truck driving groups on Facebook, and I used to be on the Truckers Report in the forum, but I haven't been on there in a long time. But it was the same way. It just, with Facebook, it's a lot easier to just get on there and have access to it. But yeah, you see that all the time. People, automatic trucks, you ain't a real truck driver. You ain't a real truck driver if you drive a day cab. And you're not a real truck driver if you went to truck driving school. You know what they taught me in school that no one's ever taught me? It's something super simple, but I never knew. I was driving since I was 16. I went to truck driving school when I was 20. I turned 21 the week we graduated and got our went to get my license. But no one ever told me that when the exit number is on the left, as far as whatever, is on the left side or left side of the sign, that it's most likely a left exit. No one told me that. And then I learned it in truck driving school. I learned how to read maps. I never knew how to read maps. I used to be in Boy Scouts. I probably would have learned how to read maps if I stayed in Boy Scouts long enough, but I didn't. Anyway, yeah, so I learned how to read an atlas, learned how to read maps, or trip planning, how to do log books, all that stuff. I learned that in school, The school I went to, all the stuff, all of the book work, you did online before you even went to what they called, I think, resident training, which is like hands-on training. That way you have 3 weeks of, you're in a truck the first day and you're learning to shift and all that stuff. It was a pretty good school. But anyway, there's some things, because there's some schools that all they teach you is how to pass the exam, how to get your license. That's it. Some of them, that's their only purpose, is to teach you how to pass the CDL exam or the road test and all that, just to get your license. The one I went to, they taught you a lot more. All of our instructors were over-the-road drivers. One of the guys, he was he was an over-the-road driver for like 20-something years, I think. I don't know. Who knows? But a lot of them were very knowledgeable, and they taught us stuff that most schools don't teach, as far as like how to unhook and hook a trailer up. That's not part of the exam. So a lot of schools that where they only care about, you know, getting you in and out as quick as possible and getting your license, blah, blah, blah. The ones that only care about that, they don't care if you know how to uncouple and couple a trailer. The one I went to taught you that. At an old, I think it was an old International cab over. And that's its only purpose, was how to, you know, hooking up the glad hands, backing under. Like, they taught you like the 1970s, whatever. Because the trailer didn't have spring brakes. It was that old. It didn't go on the road or anything. It just sat there. You never, like, no one ever drove away with it. That truck and trailer was only for learning how to couple and uncouple. Now, you had to pass that to pass the school, even though it's not a state requirement. It was like the school's requirement. You know, anyway, I learned a lot of good stuff at that school. It wasn't just to get your CDL and get out, but they also had really good instructors. So there's that. But yeah, so I figured I'd make this video. I've been wanting to make it for a while. I don't know why. Like, it may not even be that entertaining to somebody. It sounded better in my head, and I'll probably edit this and be like, well, just sounded better in my head instead of on video, but whatever. If you liked it, give me a like. If you disliked it, give me a comment as to why you disliked it. I don't know. Ring that bell for notifications. Notification squad. I don't say that. I don't. Now I'm just being dumb. It's at the end of the day. I'm tired. I'm like, I'm ready to go home, but I'm just like, yeah, I've already clocked out. So if you work at my company, you're watching this, I'm not on the clock when I do stuff like this, when I do a video like this. Just sitting in the truck. I'm not idling, whatever, you know. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video.